Welcome to Wholehearted Healing with Jo, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey of healing body, mind, and soul. I'm Jo, a manual osteopath and holistic health coach, here to help women like you reconnect with your authentic self, release what no longer serves you, and step into your highest potential. Together we'll explore empowering tools, have soulful conversations, and transformative practices to guide you toward wholehearted living. Whether it's emotional healing, physical alignment, or finding balance in your life, this is your space to grow, heal, and thrive. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin this beautiful journey together. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Wholehearted Healing with Jo. I hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully you are staying safe. For any of you who are in the States and dealing with a lot of the fires and all of that wild stuff that is happening. I know there's stuff happening all over the world, so just wherever you are, hopefully you are staying safe and hopefully things are going well for you. I have my computer over here with my notes, and we are going to be talking today about basically why our healing journey isn't linear in one direction, right? Just always moving upward, and how we can start to embrace the change and what we can kind of focus on when we're going through these ups and downs of our journey. So when we're looking at our health, and not even really our health, but even just like our life, right? Like nothing is straightforward. Nothing comes without its challenges, right? And so healing in itself, whether you're healing your finances or you're healing your physical body or you're healing your relationships, right? Like whatever the thing is that you're working through, there's ups and downs, right? It's never just this straight upward trajectory. It would be great if that was the case, but like nothing's perfect, right? Nothing is perfect in our life. And so there's a few things I kind of want to highlight when it comes to the healing journey and it being non-linear, and just the aspect of growth and change. And I mean, I've experienced this in my life where sometimes you feel like you're really making progress, and other times you're like, I don't know what happened, but I feel like I'm going backwards, right? I feel like I'm going backwards in time. And sometimes we have the best intentions and we still just are struggling even to just move forward, right? And to see progression and to see any sort of growth, right? But even when we are seeing growth, we can still get caught up in this feeling of things are moving forward, or I'm like 2 steps forward, one step back. So there's always something kind of like pulling me back almost. And so we have to think of our healing journey as this sense of like a season that we go through. The big thing with the season aspect, if we want to look at it from that perspective, is that we don't want to get caught up in the healing as in we're always trying to heal and always feeling like we're never good enough or we need to do more to change ourselves. I think there's a very fine line between doing healing work, working on yourself, wanting to see growth and expansion and change in your life, while also at the same time not speaking poorly or not thinking you're good enough, or just feeling like you always have to fix something. We want to get in a space where we want to see growth, we want to see change without feeling like we have to fix ourselves. And with that even being said, like you can take breaks from healing, you can take breaks from one area of your life, like focusing. I usually kind of like hip hop around between different areas of my life that I'm focused on. And sometimes I get these, I guess you could call them like intuitive nudges or feelings like I should be focused on this area of my life right now, not this area, even if I really want to work on that area. So for example, I'm a Capricorn rising, so, business career is always kind of in the forefront for me. I really obviously love what I do for my work. And so for me, it's always a focus. But I was getting this intuitive nudge, a couple years ago where it's like, okay, I need to fix my relationships. Like I need to heal and work on the types of people I'm attracting into my life, and what I tolerate, what I don't tolerate. Like that was taking a priority for some reason, or needed to be a priority for myself at that point in time in my life, and it changed very quickly. So when I listened to that, I was able to change and shift that. Now I'm feeling it's a bit more like my career, since I've got some other areas sorted out. But we have to think of healing as a season. And with seasons, when you look at just Mother Nature, we go through moments of time where we see growth, and we see moments in time where things die off and things go dormant, right? And we're in this cycle, right? And sometimes we are in one season longer than other seasons. And that's okay too, right? We don't have to spend the same amount of time in these seasons, and it depends on what we are going to see or what growth or progress is meant to happen at that moment in time. But we just have to trust that we're on the right path, and that if we're doing all the things that we can possibly do, maybe this is just where we're meant to be right now, right? Especially if we're not maybe seeing what we want to see happen. So really just making sure that, again, you're just respecting the journey, right? Embracing the journey, and not getting so caught up in like, oh my gosh, I need to fix it. I need to fix it like right now, right? The other part of healing that I find doesn't always make it linear and just this like forward projection is that healing is kind of more like an onion. I almost feel like healing is less about going up as much as it is like going in, like going within. And so slowly, layer by layer, we're shedding and taking off these layers of projections from people, judgment from people, expectations from people, right? Society and our parents and our upbringing and all these types of things. And we're slowly shedding these layers like an onion. And eventually we get to the core of who we truly are. And all we're doing in the healing process is just trying to get closer and closer and closer to like who you are authentically and in your own true nature, like your own sense of self, right? I forget who it was. There was someone I was talking to. No, I wasn't talking to anyone. I saw it on Instagram. And she was talking about, whoever it was basically saying, because I don't even think I followed them. I think it was just something on my feed. But it was like they were talking about how we are not trying to become anyone. We're just trying to come back home to ourselves, right? Like we're not trying to be something different, or we're not trying to be a different version of ourselves. We're actually just trying to become who we really are deep down in our core already, right? But it's like we have to take these layers off, right? These habits, these, thoughts, these beliefs, these expectations, all of these types of things that are like just being piled on top of us and just kind of like weighing us down. And so healing, I think, is more about going in and, seeing inward trajectory versus like upward, if that makes sense. So think of your healing like an onion. You're just taking little layers off bit by bit. And as you go through your healing journey, you're going to have to go like deeper and deeper and deeper. And you're going to have to eventually get to a point where you have to look at the really deep stuff if you want to keep seeing change. I've been kind of like moving down the journey of, I think I mentioned this actually the last time on the podcast, I can't remember, of like moving in, looking at my subconscious work. I've been learning a new method of how to release different subconscious blocks. And so that's something personally that I've been diving into because I feel like it's one of the things I haven't looked at fully. And I know that I have, beliefs or thoughts or, things going on that I kind of hold inward. And so for me to be able to have it come up and process it and release it, that is, just like where I felt called to go next. in my journey, and it's something that I want to be able to bring into my practice as well, in my coaching as well as like even my clinical stuff. I think it would be very supportive for a lot of people to be able to bring up these sorts of things. And so yeah, like every time you go into your healing, you're going to have to go a layer deeper, right? And it's going to get, I personally feel like it gets, I don't want to say harder, but you just have to face things that you've probably been trying to avoid or is uncomfortable. That is the other thing with like healing and our journey, is that it's not always comfortable, right? It's not, it doesn't always feel like good per se. There's a process of it that might be challenging or hard. And we might have to also, you know, if we're trying to change habits and that sort of thing like that, those things are hard to do, right? And they challenge us. And so we have to be aware of that as well. Now, with regards to the journey itself, I kind of already touched on this a bit, but it's not about things being perfect. Again, it's not about always being on the healing journey and feeling like we have to fix ourselves. Again, we don't want things to, it's not about life being perfect. It's about coming home to who you truly are. And I think a lot of us kind of get caught in some ways because we think that our life is supposed to look or feel a certain way. And there needs to be this more of this like reflection. And so not comparing our journey to other people as well, because my journey and my healing is like way different than yours, right? Because you've been through different life experiences than I have. And I might have different beliefs, thoughts, areas of life that I want to improve that maybe for you aren't maybe a focus, or maybe they are, you don't have anything to really like work on in those areas, or, you know, that's maybe coming up for you in this moment. And that's totally fine. And we have to respect that we're on this journey for a reason. We can't, like, I always think of like Earth as like school. We're here to learn all these lessons and through our lifetime. And I truly believe like if you don't learn certain lessons, you are going to come back to Earth and you are going to relearn those lessons, right? Like you're gonna have to go through it again before you can graduate, right? But you can't keep failing everything and just think, oh, it's fine, I'll just graduate anyway. So I think like we're here to do the work, we're here to reflect on things, but I think it's also like remembering again who we are and slowly getting back to that person. And so my journey is going to, again, look very different from yours, and they're never going to be one and the same. We might have similarities. We might go through similar experiences as other people, but it's almost like the combinations of our lives never really truly look the same. So I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but like my relationships and your relationships, we could have a lot of similarities, but maybe like your financial situation is like way different than mine, right? And so it's like the combination of our life experiences is all different. It kind of makes me think of like lottery numbers. There's so many different, like if you put all these numbers together, there's so many different like combinations that you could have. And I feel like that's like people, right? We have all these combinations of all the things that we've been through. And so all of our journeys are going to look slightly different, if not very different. And so don't compare your journey to other people. I also believe some people are meant to go deeper on their healing journey than other people as well. So again, we're all meant to have, again, different experiences. And so we can't get caught up in comparing ourselves or judging our situation against somebody else's. So how do we embrace, I want to give you guys kind of some things you can do or ways to think about things, is like, how can we embrace the ups and downs of growth? And I think the biggest thing is to like be compassionate with yourself, be gentle, be kind. And again, don't get caught in the loop of judging yourself or like even just speaking negatively of yourself, the situation, other people, right? Like this is how we end up in these loops, and then this is how we create our own blockages and our own barriers as we're trying to move through these things, right? So we need to make sure that we have compassion for ourselves, compassion for the situation. And I think a big piece of this as well is like being able to regulate our nervous systems and just being able to adapt to these things, because there is, when we have these ups and downs, it can kind of throw us off. It can throw us into these loops. We kind of get in this like vicious cycle of things. And I think if we are not able to regulate ourselves, that's when we kind of like fall off, but then we stay fallen off. If that makes sense. I feel like I'm just like talking in like, I don't know, analogy. But basically kind of what I'm getting at is like, you have a bad day, right? Let's say you have a bad day and you're like, I'm not making any progress. Everything feels like it's falling apart. This is terrible, right? Let's say you end up in one of those loops, and then you end up and stay in that loop for like 3 months, let's say, because you're just like, well, what's the point, right? I'm not going to put any attention into it. I'm not going to focus on it, whatever. And then you just kind of like disregard, and you don't keep staying on the process. You don't stay with the process. You don't stay, you just like allow yourself to like ride the down, right? Instead of just coming back up and just starting again. When we can regulate ourselves and we can support ourselves and we can nurture ourselves, we are going to be able to ride the highs and the lows and not get caught in the lows, right? Because that's usually the biggest thing. Nobody cares if they get caught in high. That's perfect, right? But when we get caught in the lows, that's when we really feel shitty, right? We don't feel good about ourselves. We don't feel good about the situation. And we end up in a spiral, right? So the biggest thing I would say is like learning tools like regulation for your nervous system, breath work, emotional regulation tools, right? Like all of those sorts of things. And that's going to help you, again, not get so caught up in the low. And I think it's also important, I can't remember if I said this on a previous episode, I probably did, but celebrating the small wins, celebrate the small things that go well. I find keeping a gratitude journal or just any sort of journal, like write down like 3 things that went good today, or 3 good things about that day, 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things to celebrate, right? Like whatever the thing is, but reflect on your day and realize how many good things did happen, or how many things you are grateful for, how many good things you have in your life. And when we can celebrate as well, just the small little things, even if they're very tiny, right? Very small progress, let's say we start to see, you can start to build momentum almost, and it helps you maintain a sense of positivity and helps you maintain this sense of feeling like things are moving forward, even when it's so small. Because sometimes it's like, sometimes we get to our destination, or even like, let's say a year goes by and you're like, man, nothing fucking happened. Like nothing changed, nothing shifted. Like this is dumb. Like, what am I doing? But when you really take a look at it and you truly reflect, you realize there are small things. And like, if you think back to, we're in January as I'm recording this, but like think back to last January. Are you the same person? Are you living the exact same life? Right? What lessons have you learned? What things have you learned about your healing? Because maybe it's not so much like the situation has changed, but maybe your awareness has changed, right? And so there's these small wins. Maybe you learned new things, you read different books, you found new mentors, right? Whatever the thing is, we have to embrace and celebrate those small things, because those little things are what add up to these bigger things that we really truly want to see, right? We have to take these baby steps, but we have to acknowledge and notice the baby steps. So that would be my other tip or suggestion, is to celebrate the small things, as well as be kind to yourself, be compassionate towards yourself, and learn how to regulate yourself so you don't end up in those dips of the down portion of our, kind of non-linear growth and healing process. And remember that it's more like an onion, because I truly feel like that is real. That is how I view it. It's like, just, again, like I said, like just peeling off the different layers. If you need support, or you are looking for support in your healing journey, and you would like some accountability, someone to guide you, I do have my coaching programs. I have my Elevate Her coaching program. which I offer in private or group mentorship, or coaching, I should say. And I also have just my single session breakthrough sessions, which are great if you would just want to kind of dip your toes in and just see what my style is all about. We kind of deep dive into like your situation, what's going on, and we kind of create a plan that you can use to start to move forward, and I give you tools and all that sort of thing. So that's the breakthrough session. The Elevate Her program is like that on steroids. So the breakthrough session is actually the initial call that you get with me in the coaching program, the Elevate Her coaching program. And so the Elevate Her is, like I said, like that on steroids, because it's now 12 weeks together, and now we really work through things. We work through the challenges that are coming up for you day in, day out, and we support you and guide you and shift as we need to shift, versus obviously the breakthrough session is just one, and then you're kind of on your own after that. So if you're interested in any of those, feel free to check out the links down below. As well, you can reach out to me on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, you can obviously comment down below, but if you want more of a private conversation, obviously message me on Instagram through like the DMs. And otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, I hope you guys, like I said in the beginning, are doing well. I hope you have a wonderful week. I will be back next week. I've been sticking to this. And yeah, we'll be talking some more about growth and just how we can, I think I have an idea, but I'm not going to tell you what I think it's going to be for the topic next week. But like I said, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.